Yo, what is up, guys? Taboo here with Taboo Tutorials, here today with another cool video. And today we're going to be talking about ways you can use more than one LFO in Serum. And this is something I struggled with for a while. I'd have all these really cool sounds, really cool basses, and I'd have a lot of modulation going on, but it would just be for I'd just be using one LFO, so there wouldn't be a whole lot of movement. So today I wanted to just wanted to show you how to use 4 different LFOs. I made a patch just for this tutorial, and yeah, today I'm just gonna show you this patch. It uses 4 different LFOs. It is a pretty complex patch, so I do feel like you can definitely learn something here. This is more of a advanced sound design tutorial. If you're a beginner, some of this stuff might be a little bit overwhelming, but yeah, we're just going to listen to the patch, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more, and then we're going to break it down and talk about the different LFOs and exactly what they're doing. Made a little drum loop to kind of give it, just to put it into context, see how it sound with drums. Cool. Now we're going to recreate this sound, and I'm going to show you exactly how I utilize those 4 different LFOs and what modulating what. So we're going to dive in. We're going to use 2 oscillators. The first oscillator is taken from Cymax's Wavetable Volume Collection 2, and you got to go get them. They're fantastic, and they are only $1. Definitely recommend them. And our second oscillator is going to be a sine wave, and we're going to be using our filter too. We're going to be using 2 oscillators, 2 filters, and a sub-oscillator. And our filter is going to be a high-notch filter. And for the sole purpose of this video, I went ahead and saved these LFO shapes because it takes forever to sit here and remake them, and I don't want this video to be super long. I just kind of want to, I'm sure it will be long when I'm done with it, but I don't want it to be longer than it has to be. And I will put these LFO shapes in the description if you want them. So, yeah. And so we're just going to go ahead and set up our FM. And we're going to do FM from A. So we're going to turn our oscillator A volume all the way down. We're going to turn our FM from A about 50%. And then we're going to take our octave, we're going to raise it up an octave on our first oscillator. And now we can start dragging our LFO places. So we're going to drag LFO 1 to the wavetable position, and we're going to drag it to our cutoff, and we're going to drag it on to about, didn't mean to put it on resonance. We're going to put it on about anywhere between 50 and 60%. So we're just going to say 59 for now. And yeah, we're going to turn on a warp marker on our oscillator A. We're going to use a bend minus, and now we can use our first, actually our second LFO, and we can drag it on there, just put it on there 100%. And what this is going to do, actually before I do that, we're going to turn these down. We're going to turn down LFO 1. We're going to turn down, y'all. We have to turn down. We're going to turn everything on envelope. We want everything to be on envelope just because we're going to be doing some loop backs. It's going to loop. And so this is going to be 1 bar. This is going to be half a bar. And we're going to drag our LFO2 on our resonance and our frequency on the high notch filter. And we're going to say anywhere between 20 and 30 will be good. We'll do it right there. And we want to do the same thing with our frequency with the notch filter, and we're going to say anywhere between 40 and 50 will be good. And okay, what the second LFO is doing different from the first LFO is for the first half of the LFO 1 shape, the sound is getting pulled apart and the resonance is being raised, so it sounds like a whole nother oscillator, and it sounds like it has more growl to it because the resonance going up, and resonance causes more vowel. And sorry about that, guys. We're also going to take LFO2 and we're going to drag it down a little bit. That way we can really make it sound like it's 2 totally different sounds. And now I think we're pretty good to move on to our effects. Our first effect is going to be a hyperdimension. We can use a little bit of dimension expander. Don't use a lot. You got to be careful with it because it can cause some phasing issues. So we're just going to put it on 4%. I mean, it really, you can really tell a difference if you got some good studio speakers. You can really hear that pretty well, actually. And yeah, we can move on to our distortion. We're going to use tube. Tube's a really good one. We're going to put it on about 69%. Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. On our hyperdimension, we want to drag our LFO2 onto the mix. If it goes in the center like that, what you can do is press Shift and Alt and click it, and it will go back to how it should be. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag it all the way down. That way, for the first half of our sound, it's not getting detuned at all. It's just going to be getting detuned at the loopback point. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the loopback point. So what you'll do is you'll just go to your LFO, you'll click on where you want it to get looped back, and you'll just say start loopback point here. And basically after it finishes its cycle, it's going to loop back right here. But you got to be careful. It will only do this in envelope mode. You cannot do it in trigger mode. Okay, now we can go on to our phaser. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn our rate down to 0. We're going to turn our depth to 0. Our frequency is 95. And we're going to add our LFO2 onto it. And we're going to, that way, for the initial first part of the sound, it sounds like it's getting more of a growl. And we're going to even press Shift and Alt to get that shape. And we're going to just drag and find a sweet spot. Don't be discouraged by the sound right now. It will get better, trust me. Trust me. And our for our phaser, we're also going to turn... What did I say on the phaser? Yeah. We turn on our feed. Alright, we're going to use our flanger now. And our flanger, we're going to turn our rate down to 0. We're going to turn our depth to about 69. That's a good number. We'll say 69. We're going to turn our feed. We're going to leave it right where it's at. And we're going to turn our phase a little bit. And we're also going to mess with the mix. We're going to modulate the mix using the LFO2 cutoff. I mean, not LFO2 cutoff. The LFO2, we're going to drag our mix down just a little bit because it's too much high end. We're going to drag it down to about 69. And then we're going to take our LFO2 and we're going to make it go down. We're going to bring it all the way down. And that's it for our mix. And now we can move on to a delay. Now, you might be thinking, why would I want a delay on a bass? You can get some really good tones out of delay. Like, delay just adds in a whole nother layer if you do, like, just these milliseconds. So we're going to go to link. We're going to take off BPM. We're going to turn up our feedback. We're going to turn the feedback to about 69. And we're actually going to use our LFO2, and we're going to drag it down. That way, it's not getting feedback for the first half of the initial sound. That way, the sound really does get like sounds like it's two other sounds, but it's just one. And we're going to turn our time, since they're linked up, they're going to go together. We're going to turn them down to anywhere like 8 seconds. Let's do like 8.83 is fine. 8.83 is fine. And then our mix, we're going to turn up our mix. We're actually going to turn up this time. And we're going to add our LFO4. And our LFO4 is going to do is it's going to raise like here, I'll just let you hear how how much this feedback can make a difference. Hear how it makes it sound a lot like it's a lot higher. So that we just want it to kind of get higher over time. And so we're just going to put that bad boy on there. Put it on about 32. Then we can just drag it on. That way it can get, it will go. Yeah, just drag it up a little bit, and then that's good. And now we can just add a multi-band compressor. All you do is just do that. Ooh, we were clipping like crazy. I'm sorry if that goes too loud for you guys. And we're going to add an EQ to get that even extra. You can use an EQ kind of as a filter. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a cutoff. And on our frequency, we're going to use... Sorry about that, guys. We're going to drag an LFO2 onto our frequency, and we're going to... we're actually going to press Shift and Alt again. That way we can get that action right there. And then we are going to just find a sweet spot for it. So now what this EQ is doing, it's giving it more of a growl. It's definitely makes it sound more of a growl. We're gonna even modulate our EQQ, and we're going to drag another LFO, our LFO2 on there, and we're going to put it probably around there. Turn up the gain just a little bit, Actually, let's turn it up a good bit. Cool. Now we can do our second part of the EQ. We're gonna use a notch. No, wait. No, that's a peak. We're gonna use the peak, not a notch. My bad. We're gonna raise it up a little bit. Just a little bit. We're gonna drag our frequency. Let's say about anywhere between 5 and 600 hertz. We're gonna drag it in, and we're going to we're gonna drag it this way so it kind of meets in the middle. So meet in the middle. We're gonna drag our Q up to about, say, 69%. That's a good one. And then our gain is pretty good right there, anywhere between 7 and 8 dB. You can just hear all the difference out of that EQ just in a whole nother filter. And for our last filter, we're going to be using a cone filter. So we're going to go down to our flanges, go down to cone. We're going to drag our LFO2 onto the cutoff of it, and we're going to do about 320 hertz. So yeah, pretty much like right where it's at, and we're only going to have it. You can't go too extreme with these cone filters just because a lot is going on, so the smaller the better. And we're going to turn our resonance up a little bit, and we're also going to drag LFO4 on there. That way, over time, it just I don't know, more commotion is going on, and you can raise it up a little bit, We're going to turn up our drive to kind of boost the sound up a little bit, and then we're going to turn our mix. Now, we're also gonna modulate this one again with our LFO2. We're gonna drag it all. We're gonna drag it onto the mix. That way, our LFO, the first initial sound of this patch doesn't get modulated and by the filter, so it sounds like, just as I've been saying, it's a whole nother sound. Now, I know you're saying you didn't really use LFO3, but what we're going to do now is a good way to use a third LFO is we're going to go to our matrix and our source. We're going to go to LFO3, and we want our LFO3 to modulate our LFO1's rate. So a good way to use a third oscillator is to use it as a modulation for the rate on a different oscillator. On a different LFO. Sorry about that, guys. It's been a long day. And we're going to turn this to envelope as well. We're going to turn this to about 4 bars. And we're going to turn this thing up. Cool. Now, another way to use a different LFO is we can go to our matrix, and we're going to be modulating the pitch now using our fourth and final LFO. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to LFO4, and we're going to go to our global, and we want it to modulate the master tuning. Now, be careful with this because on Serum, 19 semitones is 2 octaves. So you do the math for half of that is an octave. But that's why this LFO shape is so small. But what it's going to do is over a four bar, oh, I got 1/4. 4 bars, I'm going to put on for 4 bars. For 4 bars, the sound's going to be rising in pitch. Something's off. I think it's because I touched this earlier, so I'm just going to fix it. Cool. Now, it sounds a little dirty, so a good way we can clean this up is we can go to our LFO1, and we can make that modulate the amp of the sound. That way, and we're going to turn it all the way up. That way, whenever it's dying down, there's literally no other sound. So it's just, oops, sorry about that. I'm a fool, guys. I will come up and say it now because I forgot to activate the second oscillator onto the filter. So I was wondering why I was sounding weird. I mean, it sounded okay, but now it's really going to sound so much better. And now you can just add a sub, direct it out so it's not going through any of the effects, and just put it through the filter. That way it's all the low ends matching with the rest of the song. Not the rest of the song, the rest of the patch. Well, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I'm sure this video is extremely long. I hope you guys learned something that you can use in your production. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it. Subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.